welcome to today's class on DocuSign 101. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing. In today's class, I'll be covering all the basics of DocuSign. So if you have, very little experience in DocuSign, you're just seeing it for the first time, it's definitely a little overwhelming. So that is what today's class is for. I'll be taking you through a slower paced class, show you step by step how you can start sending forms to your clients to be electronically signed, how you can add those forms to your opportunity in KW Command to submit those for review to your market center. So we'll be covering A to Z, all the basics of DocuSign 101. Now, with that being said, I do have DocuSign notes. So if anyone feels more comfortable, with notes, or you would like to print these out and hang it on your board, you definitely can. Here are the notes, and it's a shared doc. It's a Google Doc, so you can always print that out and have that on your desk there. Now, in order to get into your DocuSign account, very much like dotloop, you know how in dotloop we went to my KW to access dotloop, the same goes with DocuSign. So the first thing that you'll do is actually log into Command. So I'm here on my screen, but if you are not yet on KW Command, you can navigate there by going to agent.kw.com. Again, that's agent.kw.com. And if you have not already, great thing to bookmark to your bookmarks bar at the top of your browser here. You'll be going there quite a bit. And let's go ahead and log in. Now, this username and password for Command is the same thing as your Kelly app, same login as for your MyKW account. They're trying to streamline all passwords, which is awesome because I don't know about you, but I have enough passwords to remember. So username, your password is case sensitive, just a heads up, and we always have that lovely forgot password option if you need it, and we'll click sign in. All right, so that will take me over to my Command dashboard here. And we just need to do one item of housekeeping before we get rolling, and that is to ensure that our DocuSign account is hooked up to Command. So let's double check that, and I can show you how to fix that if it is not. So first things first, we'll go ahead and click on our name on the very top right of Command, and then settings from that drop down. So again, I logged into Command at agent.kw.com. You'll then click on your name on the very top right of Command, and then select Settings from that drop down. All right, and when you do that, that'll take you on over to all the apps that are connected up with Command. So as you scroll down, you'll see a bunch of different apps that you can hook up with Command, which is a really cool feature to increase your productivity, all right, to enable you to do more features that these other apps may have and offer. So where we're focusing on today's class is, of course, DocuSign. Now, your connected apps will be at the top. So yours might be in a slightly different order than mine, right, because they'll show my connected apps at the top. So if you're not seeing DocuSign near the top of your screen, you can scroll down to find that. If your screen looks like mine, where you see DocuSign, maybe the preview of your email, and it says disconnect account, thumbs up, you're good to go. You can leave it. That is correct if it shows connected here. If it is not connected, if you have to scroll down to find DocuSign, I believe it'll say connect account on the right-hand side. Okay, feel free to go ahead and do that to connect your DocuSign account to Command right away. If you have any issues with connecting that up to Command, go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we'd be more than happy to help you link up your DocuSign account to Command to help this work properly. All right, so we definitely need our DocuSign hooked up. And once we have that done, it asks me to authorize. It may ask you to authorize, right? If you have to put in your username and password to link that up to authorize it. It also typically will prompt you to send a verification email to your email account. So if you're seeing that says resend email here on the right-hand side, you might have to do that to authorize your account. But you're going to want it to stay connected here. If you have any trouble with that, again, shoot an email to support@scottleroymarketing.com. They can take a quick look to help you out with that. Okay, so what we need to do first is actually add a contact to our database. So I'm going to parallel dot loop a bit during this class, right, because that's what we're all familiar with, and there are a lot of similarities to DocuSign, okay? But the first thing you have to do in using DocuSign is actually create a contact. So that is different than dot loop, so I want to highlight that. So when you are first going to create an opportunity and create a new DocuSign room, you have to create a contact first. All right, so what we'll do is we'll click on the contacts icon on the left-hand side of your command menu. All right, and just a little note on this menu on the left-hand side. First of all, as you're starting to learn the navigation, you'll notice if you hover your mouse over each one of these icons on the left-hand side, it pops up letting you know what that item does. And also, if you click on the KW logo on the very top left, it'll tell you what each item is as well. So as you're starting to learn the navigation, you can actually tell what each icon does. All right, so now we're in our contacts, and we need to add a test contact. So let's come on up to Add Contact on the top right. So clicking Add Contact on the top right here. Let's go ahead and put in a test contact. So it's great to have a test contact in your account so you can send yourself emails before sending to your database or practice in DocuSign and see what your clients see before actually applying these new tools. All right, so you can go ahead and put in your spouse's name, John Smith, your favorite movie star. I think I'll do Monica Geller for any Friends fans. Okay, so Monica at friends.com, let's say. All right, so I would go ahead and put in, as far as a name, you can put in whatever name you want. But as far as an email address here, I would recommend maybe putting in a personal email address, an email that's not connected to DocuSign specifically, so that you can see what it looks like when your clients receive that. Can everyone else hear me? Would you guys mind confirming if you guys can hear me? You might need to call back in. Oh, you can't hear me, right? Uh-oh. Okay, 1 second. Oh, you hear me? Okay. Great. Okay, thanks guys for helping with that. I can hear you clearly. Perfect. Keep me posted. I can always call back in, but hopefully that will fix it up. All right, so back to this. I think I was leaving off with make sure you put in your personal email address here. And then let's go ahead and click Create on the very bottom. So again, just a name and an email address, personal email you have, and click Create. All right. There we go. I just had to refresh for some reason to make that pop up. If you have to do the same, just a heads up. All right, so I see my contact here. So now that I have that added in, we need to navigate on over to the opportunities section. And if I am saying words that sound completely foreign, like what is an opportunity, what is a room, a DocuSign room, don't worry, I'll be explaining all of that so that's crystal clear by the time you're done with this class. So now what we need to do, again, is click on the opportunities icon on the left-hand side. So it kind of looks like a handshake icon, which is pretty fitting for, right, negotiation or a deal here. And if you have not played around with this opportunities section quite yet, we do have a class on this that was just taught last week, I believe. So basically what this is, just an overview real quick, is going to be your sales pipeline. So this is a very visual tool, and it will show you where each client or each contact is in your sales pipeline. So you can see the 5 different phases here. We have cultivate, where you're growing the relationship, the appointment phase, active, under contract, and our favorite phase, closed. Okay, so you'll be able to create an opportunity, which we're going to do right now, and you'll be able to put them in the appropriate phase. You can even create to-do lists in each one of these phases here on how to get your contact from, let's say, the cultivate phase, right? You're just starting a relationship. What are some action items you can do to move them from growing this cultivate phase, growing the relationship, to turn them into an appointment? All right, so check out that class. This is a really great tool. But for right now, we are going to click Create Opportunity on the very top right. So Create Opportunity on the very top right. All right, and we'll have to fill out all the fields that have this red asterisk next to it. So Market Center, if you are a part of more than one Market Center, make sure you're paying attention which Market Center you're assigning to this opportunity. Okay, you can't change that. If you are a part of a team, you can select the team name here if this opportunity is running through the team so that your rainmaker can see that as well. Opportunity type here. So if this is a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant, you can go ahead and select that here. I'm going to keep that on listing for today's class. Owner, slightly confusing field here. So I just want to explain this. It will always say your name here. So it's not talking about the owner of the property. It's talking about the owner of the opportunity. So it'll typically say your name unless you are on a team. Then it will say your rainmaker's name here, and you'll be listed as the assignee. So that's correct if you're seeing it that way. And now we need to assign the client. All right. So in this field, we'll just need to start typing in the client's name that we just added in. And so you have to start typing from what I've seen for that to pop up. And that contact would have to be in your contact database first in order to link them up in this section here. Okay, just a heads up there. So those items we've talked about so far, as far as a client, you're not able to change that after you create the opportunity. But everything else moving down, you will be able to alter. If there is a spouse in the transaction, you could add their name here. But again, they'd have to be in your contact database first. Opportunity name, this is up to you. Most market centers, you can check in with your market center on this. Most market centers would like that to be the property address. If you know the property address, like in the case of a listing, as they search by property address to add things like your earnest money check and so forth. Your office will be able to let you know their policies, but if you want to go ahead and name this, let's see, 123 DocuSign Rocks Drive. And you can even leave the client's name here, and that's a listing. All right, of course, if you don't know the buyer, or if you're representing the buyer, you may not know the property address right out the gate, and that's okay. You can always change this opportunity name at any time. You can add tags if you would like, okay, but these next two fields are not required. All right, we just need to fill out the fields that have this red asterisk. So commission rate, I'll go ahead and put in a 3%. Now these bottom two fields, and you might have to scroll to see these on the bottom. This probably looks a little foreign to you, right? This cultivate and the opportunity stage. So what this is corresponding to is actually the sales pipeline, right? How we were talking about that you can move the opportunity through different phases and stages within that. Okay, so you can go ahead and leave that in short for right now. Leave that how it is and click create. Unless, in case you're in actual real transaction, if you wanted to change that to appointment or active, you absolutely can here. All right, but that's just saying where on the sales pipeline is the system going to start this opportunity. So I'll click create. And that will take you into the opportunity details right away. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at here. So this is the back end of the opportunity. It'll show you the details section here. You can always click on these pencil icons. Generally, anytime you see these pencil icons within command, that means edit. Just a heads up, so you can always edit that here. You can link up a listing. So especially if you are going to be submitting a commissions from here, right, which you would need to when it goes under contract, we'll need to click select from listings here. And you don't necessarily need to do this if this is a practice. You can just watch on my screen. That's totally fine. But let's say I'll click select from listings at the top. It'll pull up all the listings available, all of my listings first, okay? But if you need to change that to all listings for whatever reason, you can absolutely do that on the top right here. I'm going to do that just to get an example listing here. See if I can pull that up. All right. And I click select on the right-hand side of any of the properties I'd like to link up. And there you go. There it is. Okay. That was a little fast, but all I did is click select to the far right of any of the listings that I would like to connect up. And so now that I have that connected, we're actually going to pop on over to the document section. And guys, just a heads up, during the opportunities class, all of these items are reviewed, so feel free to check in on that for more detail on this. But to get into DocuSign specifically, you need to go to the document section. Once you go to the document section here, you'll see it says start a transaction on the far right side. Okay, so in case I lost anyone, right, we created an opportunity, and then on this top white toolbar, we clicked on the Documents option here, and then we'll click Start a Transaction on the far right side, and hold tight on that. Now, if you are seeing two options here, if you are seeing both DocuSign and dotloop, that's great, but just beware that once you select one of these electronic signature softwares, that's it. This opportunity will always link to DocuSign, okay? So there's no going back on this, so make sure if you are utilizing DocuSign for this opportunity, make sure to go ahead and click that out the gate because you won't be able to change that back, okay? So we'll go ahead and click on DocuSign. So again, start a transaction and then DocuSign. Now, once I click DocuSign, the first time that I do that, it will prompt me to go ahead and log in. Okay, so you do need to remember your DocuSign login here. All right, so that would be an email address. All right, now once you sign in one time for the day, it'll keep you logged in, but you do need to log in one time here for security reasons. All right, and that generally would then take me to put in my password. I logged in earlier, clearly. So you'll put in your email address for DocuSign and then click next and you'll put in your password and then you'll be able to log in right away. And I'll give you a second to go ahead and make sure that you can log in. And I just want to explain, when you do that, all right, the steps we just took, it is imperative that you do those steps the first time you go to create an opportunity. Okay, so the first time that you create an opportunity, it will automatically create this DocuSign room as we're looking at here. But you have to go through the steps that we just went through, right? We added a contact, we created a new opportunity, and we clicked on go to transaction from the document section. Okay, that is very important that you do that the very first time you are creating this transaction, right? Or you're creating the opportunity, this DocuSign room, right? So you have to do that. I just want to make sure that is stressed, that you have to do that the very first time that you, which button did you click on to take you to DocuSign? I clicked on, it says start a transaction. So in this document section, let me know if you're not on this page and I can walk you through it more from the beginning. But from the document section, this will say start a transaction the first time that you do it. And you can click on that and make sure to click DocuSign if you have that option. Right? Let me know if you need further instruction on that. All right, so again, I know that was quite a few steps there that we did just to create this DocuSign room here, but that is necessary the first time that you go to start a transaction. After that, guys, you don't have to go through the opportunity. You absolutely can, but you can also go to realestate.docusign.com to log in. Let me send that out. realestate.docusign.com to quickly access your, DocuSign rooms. But that can only be done after you've initially created the DocuSign opportunity in the DocuSign room here. Okay, I'm sorry, the command opportunity in the DocuSign room. So let me know if you have any questions on that. But another big question is, especially when I started learning the system, I kept hearing the words DocuSign room. Like, what does that mean, right? So a DocuSign room is essentially the same exact thing as a loop in dotloop. Okay, so it's really just where all of your documents will be found, okay, all the details and people and so forth. So this is my DocuSign room where I am now, so you'll hear that term quite a bit. And where we actually need to start is the details section. So if you can click on this top toolbar here, let's go on over to details, so start there instead. Okay. So from here, we can edit this details section by clicking edit on the top right. Click on edit on the top right. What is the real estate site? That is realestate.docusign.com. So that's where you can go to log in directly to DocuSign if you would like to access your DocuSign rooms as quickly as possible, especially if you're in a time crunch, you need to get a document out quickly. But again, the first time that you go to create a transaction, create an opportunity in a DocuSign room, you have to do it via the steps we just did. So hopefully that's clear. I know I'm a little bit of a broken record here. It's just very important that you guys understand. So let me know if you have any questions. All right, so I clicked on edit on the very top right. And if you're not with me, I am in the details section on the top toolbar. And so what this details section does is very similar to the, I believe it was called details section in dotloop. It's been a while now. So all this information here will autofill onto any forms that you bring into your DocuSign room. So it's a great time saver to put in the address of the property, which the address is already pulled over from the command opportunity. But you can go ahead and fill in any other information here. This is especially helpful if you're a new agent and trying to learn these forms, right? Some of these forms are like 10 pages long and a little confusing to know where everything goes on the form. So if you come in here and put in each item, right, DocuSign knows where on the form that piece of information goes. So it's a great learning tool and not to mention a great time saver since it will autofill onto all your forms. Great question. If you did not link up, right, remember how I linked up the listing to the opportunity? I'm just going to change tabs to show you this real quick. So stay where you are on your screen. But you know how I linked up the listing here? That's why the data pulled over, okay? If you manually put that in the details section, it should pull over as well, but that's why yours didn't if you didn't link up a listing. All right, so why this details section is so important besides it making your life easier, yeah, no problem, is it's really important that you enter in your seller's information or the client's information on the right-hand side. So on the right-hand side, we're practicing with a listing. So we have the seller 1 and 2 at the top. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see buyer 1 and 2. So this is where you need to start in adding in your client's contact information. So I'll go ahead and put in my client's info here. So let's say I'll do Monica Geller. Monica@friends.com. Okay, so we're putting in our seller contact info. We mainly need name and email address. You can absolutely put in the other details as well, and it will autofill into any forms that require those details. And then if I scroll down, so I'm staying on the right-hand column here, I'll put in seller 2. And just a heads up, you do have a little icon of a person on the top right here, so that will search your DocuSign address book. If that makes your life a little easier, you can do that. So I'll go ahead and put in like a Chandler Bing in here. Okay. And you can also put in your info as the listing agent here. I linked up a random listing, right? So it's automatically pulling in the listing agent's info. So that's why we're seeing that here. All right. Okay, so the reason that I say DocuSign is not on the list of apps for me to connect. Typically that means that your market center has not subscribed to DocuSign is the reasoning we've been told, but shoot an email to support@scottleroymarketing.com so they can troubleshoot that for you. Let them know that's happening to see if they can link that up real quick for you. I'm sorry about that. That's an odd one for sure. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so the reason that I'm stressing to enter in your details, your contact information, the details here, so for your client, so I have my seller 1 and seller 2, is that it will automatically give me the option to allow these clients to sign here. Now this differs a little bit. You'll see the people section on the top here. I just want to explain the reason I'm not telling you to go to the people section to add your contacts in is because it sends them an email letting them know that they've been added to the DocuSign room. Which is fine, you know, invites them to the DocuSign room, but when they're invited, you know, there's no forms in there yet, right? Because we're just setting this up. So I don't really recommend that, right? Because I don't want my client to be emailed when I just add them to the DocuSign room. I only want them to be emailed when they need to sign something personally. So that's why I would recommend in the details section, putting in your client's info on the right-hand side here. Okay. And you'll see in practice what that looks like in just a moment. But go ahead and click Save on the very bottom right. You should see a black bar on the bottom that says Save. So now that I'm good to go here, what if there are 2 sellers? I have seller 1 and then seller 2. You'll just need to scroll down to find the second seller there. All right, so let's go up to Documents section here. So now I'm switching gears a little bit. Yeah, no problem. Make sure you click Save, by the way, in case you missed that part. Save is on the bottom of, it'll be a black toolbar on the bottom here. You can click Save. And then once you save, come on over to Documents. So on the top toolbar, let's switch to Documents and get into the fun part of adding documents in. Okay, so from here, from the Documents section, we'll want to go ahead and click Add on the very top right. And you'll see a bunch of different options on how to add forms in here. What we're going to focus on first is the DocuSign Forms option. Okay, so this DocuSign Forms options will allow you to pull in interactive forms. And what I mean by interactive forms is you can just start typing in the form, right? They're a text box that you can fill in. So that's ideal, it makes your life easier. So let's click on Add on the top right, DocuSign Forms. Okay, and this next couple steps here look slightly different depending on what you've done in your DocuSign account in the past or your Market Center. So try to hang tight with me here. So if you are seeing this first, you may not, but if you are seeing this NERDS information here pop up, you can go ahead and put in your NERDS ID and link that up with an association if your association is available. So if you scroll through these associations, yeah, there's quite a few, but definitely not all the associations in the US. So there's nothing wrong with your account. If you're not seeing your association here, that generally just means this is not required or available quite yet. All right, so if you do have your NERDS ID and association, go ahead and enter that in. If that does not apply, generally I go ahead and click skip here. Okay, so most of you, I believe, would need to click skip there. Your office staff will let you know if there's anything specific for your Market Center to do there. But once I click skip, I am now taken to these DocuSign forms. Now from here, the first drop down, I have two options. So if I click on that first drop down menu, I have the option for a DocuSign Forms library. Okay, and if I select the library and then select the second drop down, it gives me my libraries, which are pulling from my MLS boards. Okay, I personally like the groups option. Okay, so if I change the first drop down to the groups option instead, it will show you any form groups that your Market Center staff awesomely created for you. Okay, so yours will, of course, look different than mine. These are created by your Market Center staff specifically. All right, so either way, you can do either one, whichever is most beneficial for your DocuSign account at this time. But you can go ahead, let's say I'll go ahead and select on one of these groups. Of course, you can select the library if that's better for you. And I'm going to bring in a listing agreement into mine. You can bring in any form that you would like. The concept should be the same. So from here, I'm going to, next to the search bar, you can search for whatever form you're looking for. Like if I wanted to search the word listing, let's say, to pull up all listing forms in here, I could do that. Once I find the form I need, I'll simply click the checkbox to the left of the form name and then click add. And I'm going to take you through that one more time here, because of course this is important. Okay, so step one is we need to select if we're pulling that from the group or library. Okay, so you might have to play around with finding the forms a little bit, because again, this does differ depending on your account and your Market Center. But then you can select the group or library from the second drop down. I can use the search bar if needed. All you'll need to do is then click the checkbox, and you can do multiple forms at a time if you would like, and then click add. All right, then that will reload for you, and I now see that document that I pulled into my DocuSign room. Now to start editing this form, it's as simple as clicking on it and starting typing. So let's go through that. So go ahead and click on the form to pull that up big. And as you can see, it generally takes a couple seconds for that to pull up. There's nothing wrong with your account. All right, and so that'll pull up the form, and you'll see some info may have autofilled. So I do see my clients' names have already autofilled at the top here, and that's pulling from the details section. And to add additional info, it's as easy as clicking to start typing. All right, so any fields, you can simply click to start typing. Any radio dots or check boxes, you can simply click to check it. All right, you can write in any date fields as well. Okay, so we are going through here. So in practice, what you would do at this point is, of course, go through the entire form and fill it out. Okay, even if you're planning on printing out the form, you can absolutely type up the entire form and then print it out so that you can bring it on your appointment, so you can explain the listing agreement to them in person and hand sign the form. Okay, you'll definitely run into people who don't trust electronic signatures. And so I like to type up the form in that case because it looks very professional, print it out, bring it on my appointment. And I'll show you how to do that. So if you could use your imagination that we just went through this entire form and filled it out. make sure after you fill out the form, click Save and Close at the top. That's the first thing to do. If you're taking notes on today's class, that's a big one. I don't know about you, but I have lost all my saved work before, and it is the worst, always when I'm in a big hurry too. So make sure after you fill out all the forms, there are more options here, but make sure to click Save and Close first, okay? So I'm gonna save and close that. And then I'm gonna pull it back up to show you guys further options and show you how to get electronically signed. But please make sure you click Save first before pulling this back up, just to be sure, even if it's precautionary. Okay, so now that I have that save form pulled back up, let's take a look at the document actions. So the document actions are in the very top right of the form. So you'll see a little icon that looks like a piece of paper with like a dog ear fold on the top right. And this is where we have a bunch of options, such as, if you need to download or print the form, so you can print it from here. So let's say you filled out the entire form, now you just want to print it out to bring it on your appointment. This is your spot to do that. But we're going to focus on the DocuSign option. Okay, so the DocuSign option means we're moving forward to get this electronically signed because the form is now complete and ready for signatures. So again, I got here by opening up the form. Click on the document actions on the top right. Okay, it looks like a little icon of a piece of paper. And DocuSign. That will load for a little bit, and then it will take you on over to the envelope details. Okay, so what this envelope details section is, all right, what I want you to picture here is you wrote up the entire form, and now you are stuffing this in a physical envelope to then put in the mailbox and send it off, right? A little snail mail analogy. So that's what we're doing here. We are stuffing that form in the envelope. So envelope, check. We have that form stuffed in there. All right. All you have to do here is add recipients. So let's start there. So the only thing that you are required to do is add recipients, which makes sense, right? Snail mail, you put in an envelope, you gotta address it, right? So we're adding recipients here. So we'll click Add Recipients. You have a few options here, but since we put our contacts or our client in the details section at the beginning, we can click Pre-tagged Roles here. So again, I clicked Add Recipient and I selected Pre-tagged Roles. There's a couple different ways to do this, but now I'm gonna tell DocuSign that Seller 1, I have that contact. So I'm lining up, right? I'm lining up the roles with the contact's name from the dropdown. Okay. And then click Add Selected. And there we go. So there we go. We have our contacts added in. Now, there are some things that are slightly different here than dot loop that I'd like to point out. So first of all, this is kind of nifty. On the left-hand side here, you'll notice a bunch of ones. This is a feature dot loop did not have. So let's say you only want the second seller to receive the form after the first seller signs. You can change this to the number 2, and that would make it so that this contact does not receive the form until these 2 contacts have signed, okay? You can play around with different times you'd want to use that. For example, let's say you want your mortgage provider to receive the executed contract once your clients sign that. You can add both your clients here with 1s, add your mortgage provider as number 2, and they would only receive that after both clients have signed. So pretty nifty, right? It's streamlining some of your job there. So other things here, you can password protect this, especially if you get someone, right? You always run into those people who don't feel comfortable with electronic signatures. They're a little sketched out by the whole thing. So sometimes adding a password protection makes them feel a little more secure. So if you click on More, you can add access authentication. So I could put in a password here, but just a heads up, you have to tell them the password or they won't be able to get into it, okay? But you can add that extra layer of security here. But one more time, make sure you let them know the password. So that is the only thing that you have to do, is you have to add in the clients in order for them to sign it. And then in theory, you could click Next, right? But I'm just gonna show you what else you can do here. So you can, scrolling to the top here, I'm going to change the envelope name. Lots of envelopes go out during a transaction, right? Every time that you send forms to your client. So I like to add what I sent, just so when I'm, looking at my envelopes, I can quickly see, okay, in this envelope, I sent the listing agreement. So personal preference, just an idea. If I scroll down, I also have the option to add in an email subject and email message, something like, hello, like here attached is the form for you to sign that we discussed about on the phone. Let me know if you have any questions, something like that. But again, these are not required things to do. We just have to add the contacts, and then we can click next on the very top right. So we're clicking next, big yellow next button on the top right. Okay, so from here, generally what I do is I would view the recipient preview. So as you scroll down, let's scroll down now to the initial fields. Okay, if you have any initial or signature fields on your form, feel free to scroll down to those. And you'll notice this is different than .loop 2. They're colored, which is A, kind of fun, but B, is really helpful to know which color correlates to your client. So if on the top right, top left, if you click on it, it might say your name or your client's name with maybe a dot next to it. If you click on that, it'll show you a drop down of each client with their corresponding color. So I know right here that Monica Geller will be able to sign that one, and Chandler Bing will be able to sign that one. So it's assigned to my respective clients. Okay, and then I'm assigned to yellow. I'm not going to discuss the fields yet on the left-hand side, but if you have any questions on that, hang tight. These are very great to use. All right, but as long as we make sure that they can sign, I like to just preview, to make sure they can sign the bottom of each one. There's also the recipient preview option on the top right that I always check over before sending to clients. So recipient preview on the top right there. You'll have the option to view as on the top left. Let's say one of your clients. And so I am now viewing this as my client. I can view it on a computer, tablet, or iPhone, or Android for that matter. And then I'll be able to click start. And so I'm seeing now I'm being taken through as the client to go through and see that I can sign each field. Okay, so that makes me feel better that I know I set it up correctly for my clients to sign. So once you're feeling A-okay about this, we can go ahead and click the X on the top right here. And that's it, guys. We just need to click send. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click send. So I click send on the top right. Now, and you might have seen on my screen, it popped up for all of 2 seconds saying that if you need to sign, click here. All right, so if it is a form that you need to sign, you can do that from the envelope section. So that's where I am, right? This is the envelope section that will show you literally, again, go back to snail mail, this really helps me, a bunch of envelopes, right? These are all the envelopes that are going to be sent out through the transaction. So if I click on this, if it's something I need to sign, right, I would be able to do that right here. So I can sign here. I can correct if needed. And I can also resend, right? You've probably run into where the client says, hey, I didn't receive the form, but you did send it. You can resend it right from here. And just to show you again how I got to all of these features here. So I'm going to X out on the top right so I can show you how I got here. So I was taken to this envelope section directly after sending the form, right? But if you ever need to come back here, you come into your DocuSign room, and it's selected envelopes on the very top here. That's where you can then click on the envelope to have the option to sign as the agent, to correct it, or to resend that, and more. All right, guys, so that is the process of sending out an interactive form for your clients to sign. And again, what I mean by interactive is that, right, you saw that I could open the form and just start typing. Right, so that's going to contrast with what we're switching gears to. So next I'm going to show you how to add a PDF to your DocuSign room and send that to your clients to be electronically signed, and how you can edit that. Is there a way to pull up DocuSign forms and download them without going through a contact and opportunity? Great question. So if you're just needing to print out forms, is I assume what you're saying, to bring along with you, I have not seen that capability through the My Docs section. Even in the My Docs section, it says sample. I'm going to show you how to add a signature and initial in just a moment here. But even in the My Docs section, mine all say sample. You can check there if you're looking to print off blank documents. Check the My Docs, but again, mine all say sample on it. So in that case, I would honestly just create a DocuSign room to pull those forms into. And I don't generally advise this, but from the rooms homepage, so if you click on rooms on the top, you can add a room there to just pull documents in so you can print them off from there, kind of like just a room specifically for documents. Yeah, no problem. That's just kind of a workaround for now. Okay, so now let's switch gears to PDFs. So let's go on over to documents. I built a room for buyer docs and another for seller docs. Great, perfect. So that should help you exactly there. And it's just really important nothing is in the detail section in those, rooms for buyer docs and seller docs so that nothing autofills. But that is really great advice. Thank you for chiming in. All right, so we're back to the documents section. Here we are. And we're coming back to add. And the option that we're going to select is computer. Let me tell you when you would want to use what I'm about to show you. So let's say the agent on the other side doesn't use DocuSign. They just sent you an email with the offer to purchase, let's say, and it's attached as the offer to purchase is a PDF signed by their clients. So you have this PDF saved to your computer. You now want your clients to be able to electronically sign that. Okay, so that is one example of when you'll need this. So click on Add on the top right, and let's select Computer. So I selected that computer option. If you have a PDF on your computer to practice with, feel free to go ahead and grab that. So I have an offer saved on my computer here. So if you have a PDF of a form, go ahead and bring that in. If not, you can watch on my screen, that's no worries. I'll simply double click on the form to pull that in right away. So as you're working on pulling in the PDF, I just want to point out that now these icons here are different, right? This PDF versus this is a form icon indicating that this is a DocuSign interactive form that you can just type in versus if it's a PDF, that generally means it's not typable. One other icon that you'll see while we're on this topic is when it comes back signed, it will be a green icon that says signed as well. Just a heads up on that if you've seen that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click on the form to open that up. And I would like you to note how you can't just start clicking and typing, right? I can't type anywhere here. And that's the nature of a PDF, right? A PDF is generally not editable unless you have a cool system like DocuSign. So that's what I'm going to show you now is how to add and edit PDFs and add signature fields and initial fields to a PDF to have your client sign that. So same general process here. We open the form. We're coming up to the document actions on the top right. I do want to point out that in the document actions, some extra ones you have in here is a split option, right? And that's only for PDFs, but you can split forms. So if you load in your entire sales folder and want to split that out into all the respective forms, you can do that. And I'm going to send you a video on that here. One sec here, guys. So I'm not going to show you that in class, but if you would like to save that, that is how you can split documents to achieve what we just talked about there. Okay, so but for now, let's go ahead and click the DocuSign option. So if I lost anyone, all I did was pull open the form. So it's a PDF. I can't just start clicking. I'll click on Document Actions on the top right, which is the little icon of a piece of paper. And then let's select DocuSign. So this is the same general process here as we just did. So now I'm back in my envelope, right? Snail mail analogy here, stuffing that form into an envelope. I need to put my recipient, so I'll come down to Add Recipient. And I will select Room Participants here. So here I'm wanting to add, right, I let the system know that seller 1 and 2, these clients, so I can see that's lined up, right? And I can click Add Selected. I have my clients here. So it's the only thing you're required to do here, especially when you're in a rush. Throw your clients on here, throw your clients on the front of the envelope, same concept, and click Next on the top right. Okay, so again, all I did on that envelope section was add my clients in and then clicked Next on the top right. And this is where the fun begins, where we get to play with these fields on the left-hand side. So let's go back to that example where the agent on the other side sent you an offer and it was signed by their client. So it's signed by the buyer. Just use your imagination that we have initials here. So now I need to add initial boxes for my clients to sign. So on the top left, remember, we have our colors here so we can see which client the color corresponds to. So watch this real quick. So see how it's yellow here? So all the fields are yellow. If I change that over to my other contact, they all turn blue. Okay, so now I can go ahead and click the initial option on the left-hand side. It'll start following my mouse so I can line that up and click to drop it. I can now come up to which client I would like to select. So now I'm switching that over to my other client, Chandler Bing. Same process here, clicking initial. It follows my mouse. I click to drop. All right, so now I can see the colors that correlate with my client, so they can sign that. Now in actual practice, you can go through and do this on each page. In actual practice, when I do this, I drop all the initial boxes for my first client, then go through and do them all for my second client. An important question. How can you choose colors for your client signatures? I've actually been asked this. That's super funny. I have not seen a way to do that. I was just looking at a client's view. I don't think it even really shows these colors to the client. I'll have to double check on that, but I haven't seen a way to do that. Sorry, that's a pretty funny question. Love it. Yeah, I don't think they see colors. I could be wrong on that, but you can test it out. Send yourself this form as a client, and that'll confirm that. All right, so once you do that, you could do the same thing for signature fields. Let's just go, I'm going to scroll to a signature field so I can show you that, because there is one little tip I want to tell you about signatures. So when you drop signature boxes, so that'll be a different field here, the main thing to know about signatures are it doesn't date the signature like it used to in dotloop. So with that being said, you'll actually need to add a date field. So when you sign it, you also need to add the date signed. And again, this is different than dotloop, so I just want to stress that. So I can add that for each client here. So I can add the signature, but also add the date signed. Well, All right. So just a tip on signatures, especially if that's required, which generally that is. So that is how you'll drop initial boxes and signatures. So now let's switch gears just slightly and talk about editing forms. So let's say you have a fully executed offer, all right? And your client comes back and it's like, oh, actually, my name's not Tony, it's Anthony. Okay, or whatever the case may be, you need to make a very small alteration to a fully signed form. Is there a host option like dotloop? There is not. So the question was, is there a host in person signing option like there was in dotloop? I have yet to see that anywhere, and I have scoured the system to try to find that. I have not seen that anywhere. So unfortunately, that is a no right now. So you would have to, send it to their email for them to sign, unfortunately. Okay, so what we're looking at now is how to edit a fully executed document. So if you need to make any changes, you can absolutely do that. So on the left-hand side, really the only time you'll switch from this primary standard fields here, is to click on this little pencil icon. This is the only time I have, at least, and to find the line option. So this is the strike through option that dotloop had. So again, it's hidden in the markup tools here on the left-hand side. You can then select line, and I want to cross this out. So I just simply click where I want to drop the first side and click to drop the second side. So I cross that out. So now I need to add a text box in order to fill that in. So I'm going to go back to the standard tools. So it's the very top option on the gray toolbar on the left side. And I want to add a text box. So I'll click text and I'll click to drop it. Okay, so there's a couple settings that I want to make you guys aware of for text boxes or adding fields like this. So when you drop any fields, you'll notice these settings on the left-hand side. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys. So first of all, this text box, pretty dang small. If you need to resize that, you can do so by clicking or hovering your mouse over the corners of the box, and then you can click to expand that. Right? The box would have to be clicked on first for that to work, by the way. So I'd have to click on that first, and then I'll be able to resize it. I can then either double click the field to start typing in, or I can add text on the right-hand side here. Go on. So let's say I got the correct name now. Okay, so a couple things on this. So notice how it's blue, right? And you know I've been stressing about the colors correlating to the contact, right? So if it is blue, that means it's a required field for your quote-unquote blue client, okay? So the system, when they go to electronically sign, would force them to edit this field further. So if that is not a field that your client needs to do anything with, you need to uncheck this required field. And just a step further, if you don't want them to be able to mess with it, just mark it as read only, okay? So that is the main difference between transparent fields versus if it is, has the actual coloring. That means your client will be forced to do something with the field in order to complete the signing process. So just keep an eye out for that. If it is something you're changing, uncheck required field, make sure that's see-through, and read only is always good so your clients can't mess with that. All right, so that is how you add, and of course you would then, in actual practice, if you make any changes like this, we'd have to drop some initial boxes to have your clients, initial for the change. If this were a real offer. Okay, so I could go ahead and add in those initial boxes here. All right, so that is how you can add fields to a PDF. You can add signature fields, you name it, to edit your PDF further. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and click send on the very top right. Okay. All right. So now that will take you back to your envelope here. Now there are a bunch of other features that you can do with DocuSign, including emailing into DocuSign, which is a very cool feature. I just want to make sure you guys have, I made little short 10-minute tip videos on each one of these. So you can email directly into your DocuSign document section and into your inbox. And here's a fun little tip video on how to do that. But even more exciting is I just found out how to do this maybe like 2 weeks ago. You can actually forward an email chain into your DocuSign room and it turns it into a PDF so that you can keep track of all your email chains in your DocuSign room, which is awesome. Okay, so I created a tip video on that, just in case anything comes back on it and you have to, check through if there's any litigation, which is a terrible word, but you have to check through all your emails. If you store them all in your DocuSign room, it makes it a little easier to find those quickly. So that's why this is such a cool tip there. So feel free to check that out. Just a short little 10-minute video on that. But to wrap up class, what I'm going to show you for the rest of the time is now how you can add your forms to your opportunity in Command in order to submit that for review to your Market Center, okay? And I'll show, if that, sounded like a foreign language, I'll show you that, don't worry. So I am switching tabs here. I don't want to lose anyone, so can you send us the notes? Yes, here are the notes again. There you go. Those are the notes. All right, and if you're watching this class recorded, I'll put the notes in the description of the YouTube video. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how once you have signed your forms, okay? So once you have gotten your clients to sign the forms, you then need to add the forms to your opportunity in Command, how to get them. If you click on that, it should open it up. That just worked on mine. So you just click on that link and it's a Google form, a Google Doc that you should be able to access right away. Okay, now this is a very important concept. I know your brain is about to explode from DocuSign overload, but this is a big one. So real quick, so if you have had your document signed in DocuSign, right, that's what we've done so far. We now need to add these forms to our opportunity to submit it to review for our office to get your paycheck, which is, I think, why we do this whole real estate thing. So I'm going to switch tabs to show you how that works. I'm currently in DocuSign, of course, but my command documents, this should be open still for you as well. It's just a different tab on the top of my browser here, right? Two different tabs. Don't want to lose you, but click on the tab that says command documents. And this is where we initially got to DocuSign, right? We came in the document section an hour ago and click go to transaction or start a transaction, just a refresher. So once you've gotten your form signed, we come to this document section here and we're going to pick a checklist. One second, let me look at that in just a second here. I'll be taking a look at that question in just a moment here. All right, so first things first is I'm going to select a checklist. So on the left-hand side here, and your checklist will be different than mine. These are added in by your office staff. Okay, so these will be different, but we're selecting a checklist. So in the left-hand column here, go ahead and select which checklist would apply. And you actually have to add the forms in here manually to submit this to your Market Center for review. So on the right-hand side, so first of all, right, you see a bunch of different documents going down on your screen. These are not actual documents. It's more like a checklist, right, to let you know what forms are required in order to get paid, okay, or what you can submit here. So on the far right, you'll see it says Add File. So I'll go ahead and click Add a File. And you have the option to either manually add this form, so dragging and dropping or clicking here to browse your computer, or in this case, I'll select DocuSign option. So if you select the DocuSign option, you will then have the option to see the forms that are in this DocuSign room specifically. Okay, so these are the signed forms that are currently in your DocuSign room that we're selecting from. So I'll go ahead and select that first one, click Assign. And there it is. I see that it has been added in right here. All right, so you can do that for each individual file here. You can also now attach multiple files at once. This is a pretty new feature. So you can attach multiple at once if you would like to go through and do the same thing for DocuSign. So at the top here, we have the manual option and the DocuSign option. So if you go to DocuSign, you know, pretty much just gives you the opportunity to go through here and assign each one. And then click Attach. Okay, so that obviously makes the timing way faster on that. That is requested. Let me just clarify one last thing before I let you go, and I'll answer that question that we had. Just a clarification on the difference of how you'll be using the opportunity versus your DocuSign account. Your DocuSign account is for interacting with your client, for getting signatures on your form. Okay, that is what DocuSign is for. It's only for dealing with your client. Your opportunities document section, where we are here, is only for dealing with your Market Center directly. So this is where you'll be submitting your documents for your review, your signed documents for review. So this sends all documents to your Market Center by clicking Submit to MC in the very top right here. And you know, don't do that right now. They won't like me very much. Okay, but Submit to MC on the top right would submit your forms, this opportunity, to your office staff so they can do compliance check and give you that wonderful paycheck, right? So that is the main difference between the two. Let me see that question here. How can transaction coordinators have access to our DocuSign room to edit, create, or send envelopes? So you as the agent, so a lot of transaction coordinators have been just signing in as the agent. There is an admin feature that is coming in Command that is not 100% live yet from what I've seen, but that is to come. So you'll be able to assign your transaction coordinator as an admin to have access. In the meantime, most transaction coordinators have been logging into the agent's Command and DocuSign account to help out right now. All right, so if you guys have any other questions, feel free to email me, support@scottleroymarketing.com. You can put attention my name, which is Leah. When I watched it, I thought I knew. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you learned some new things. I know I'm learning new things about DocuSign all the time. There's so many new things to learn. Yeah, let me know if you have questions, guys. Put attention my name, which is Leah, when you email support@scottleroymarketing.com. I'd be more than happy to help you through this and help you through this journey of transitioning to DocuSign. All right, guys. Yes, I'm glad it was helpful. Let us know if you need anything else. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll go ahead and put up the video or the link to where all of our recorded training classes are. I have a bunch of DocuSign tips up here as well, so you can, watch short 10-minute training videos on even more DocuSign tips. Never ending, right? All right, no problem at all, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good one, guys.